So the Real Housewives of New York City reunion happened part 1 for season 14. And there's a lot for us to talk about, especially Ubah out of left field. I was just like, whoa, what? She came in Ubah hot. Put it on a t-shirt, Ubah. We have to talk about that. We have to talk about how Jenna Lyons sat there quietly. They went through her different moments. Ubah was coming for her. But literally, Jenna Lyons is a presence. She didn't have to try hard, and we still love her. Normally, a housewife that is too quiet at a reunion, we're like, oh, it's done. It's done for them. It's over. It's over. But I literally, as I'm watching all these ladies fight for their apple, I see Jenna Lyons just sitting here just like this. I love it for her. Jenna, don't come back. And it's not that I don't want you to come back, because I do. I feel like she'd be fantastic. But don't come back. You're too above this. Look, I get it. I get it. I get why you probably decided to do it. You probably thought, something different, something new. Let me get out of my comfort zone. And I'm glad that you did, because I feel like you had just gained probably a few more million fans than you did have before. I really do, because we don't take for granted. I always say this about YouTube. There's still millions of people that do not know about certain people. I discover people here on YouTube alone all the time. And you guys are discovering me every single day, new people. So I love this for Jenna. I don't understand why Ubah was coming in Ubah hot. Sai and Erin, especially Sai, was on an apology tour. Did you guys notice this? She was on an apology tour. Every other sentence, I'm sorry, I apologize. She knew. She read the room. She saw the comments. She was like, I'm going to just get ahead of this and just apologize. And look, I'm okay with it because that's the only way that we're going to be able to move forward. So we have a lot to unpack, because this was a supersized part 1 of the Real Housewives of New York City season 14 reunion. There's some things that we need to talk about, and I took some notes. So we're going to go through it. We're going to take it easy. Okay, we're going to take it easy. We're going to get into everything. And as always, if you haven't already, be sure to like this video. Be sure to subscribe, because it is a subscribers only live chat. And don't forget, this month we're raising $2,500 for Black Women's Health Imperative in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We are so close. We're almost halfway to our goal. So please help us by sharing this video, by sharing this live, by sharing some of our previous videos, because that will help people see this stuff. All right. Help us get to our goal for raising over $2,500. 100% of your donation based off of YouTube giving will go to the organization. So please give what you can. All right. Shout out to everyone that has already donated. Shout out to our channel members that are in the live chat. We appreciate you guys, and the replay crew, of course. And of course, we could not do our live chat or the comment section without our King's Guard. So be sure to say hello and thank you to them. Let's get into a countdown, and then let's get into this episode of The Real Housewives of New York City, season 14 reunion.
Baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor. I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter. I got the fuse. You make a fire. I'll add the fuel. Follow me, lead it. Just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up to get this cool.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. Happy Monday, guys. We are only, a week and a half until BravoCon. I should be more excited, but it really is like a work thing for me. But yeah. So stay tuned for that and stay tuned for the coverage. Shout out to our members of the channel. To become a member of the channel, head on over to teamkempire.com/join. And for everything Kempire, including our merch, head on over to TheKempire.com. Click the shop button so you can see some of our new merch. Some of you said this looks so soft. It is. It's like my favorite particular soft tee that I love from our merch store. So be sure to check that out. All right. So this reunion, I didn't realize that this part one of the reunion. It's only going to be 2 parts. I didn't realize that it was going to be a supersized episode. So I'm just like, oh, we're still going. Because I feel like based off the supersized episode, we ended this episode with us talking about Jessel's package. And then I'm thinking to myself, so who do we have left? After Jessel, we have Bryn's package. And I go, Sai's package? Okay. Next week. All right, so before we even get into the reunion, they're already showing text messages from Ubah talking about no one interrupt me when I'm having my conversation with Karen. As in Karen. Erin. She was talking about Erin, but she said Karen. As in Karen. And according to Brynn, it's been crazy in the group text with Ubah this week, apparently. So this whole other side of Ubah that we didn't get to see during the season, which was alluded to from Jenna, has been in this group exchange. All right. So the ladies arrive. They all sit down. Of course, Andy goes around and says hello to everyone. Everyone looks great. He makes comments about this is the very first time we've ever seen a housewife come in jeans and things like that. We love it. I'm tired of talking about Jenna Lyons in the jeans. We've moved on, but we appreciate her doing something different. All right. They also talk about everyone's reaction to the reboot and the comparisons to what it used to be. And Jenna was just like, this is just something different. I feel like we're just a different set of women, which we agree. We love the inclusivity of this new group as opposed to what we had before. We loved what we had before, but you can't do a show called Real Housewives of New York City and have the cast that we had before. That really was a small percentage of what New York City looked like then. And what it looks like now is even more inclusive and more diverse than it was back then. And New York has always been diverse, but it's even more diverse now. So I appreciated this reboot. And I said countless times that this reboot started off great. The first few episodes, great. I think once we got to Anguilla and the Anguilla trip was not fun to watch. I think that's where I kind of just like, oh, okay. Here's the thing that I think people forget, because I know some people really believe what they watch and they forget that they're watching an edited show by people that have their own direction and idea of what they want the audience to see and feel about these different people. I feel like people forget that this show airs, but they filmed this months before. And now everyone is having a reaction to things that they did not see. They're seeing context. They're seeing people talk about them in these confessionals when they thought one way about each other when they were filming together. Okay. And then they're doing interviews. And very important, because I know some people think that the housewives are just having this mind of their own. No. A lot of, especially the new housewives, like the old school housewives, not so much, but I definitely see like the new school housewives, like of the last 5, 6, 7 years, they really pay attention to what the fans say on social media. So sometimes when I watch these reunions, I'm like, you guys are just regurgitating what you see these fans say on social media or on Twitter specifically. And I kind of got that feeling from this cast and during this reunion that's what we're getting. They're reacting to what social media, what the fans are saying. And my best advice to any new housewife, and I've said this countless times when we were talking about Dubai, when we talk about Potomac, we talk about some of the new, like Salt Lake City. And I said this about Jessel, don't change. I know all the fans are going to shoot smoke up, and they've been doing that recently. They've really been doing that recently. She's the queen. Calm down, Jessel. Don't believe the hype, because just the same way that they build you up, they will take you down. I'm just saying. And we like Jessel, and I said this from the beginning. Jessel has always been who she is at the top. And I was like, Jessel, people are going to have all kinds of different opinions, both positive and negative. And I need you to treat both the positive and the negative the same. Don't believe any of it. Be yourself. Very much like how Pavid is. Pavid is his awkward self, and I appreciate it. Sidebar, I did do a video talking about Pavid taking us on his 24-hour, it was more than 24-hour trip to Vietnam and all the food places. He's like a little influencer, but he has like really great humor. She has great humor too, and I can see how it works. Remember, they were best friends before they were lovers. I can see how this relationship works, but I can also see how some people might look and like, how does that work? Because Sai said that during the reunion. I can see it. I can see how some people will be like, how does that work? All right. So Erin's package. Okay. Erin gets a little emotional when she talks about how her summer was a rough summer because her mom has had some health issues. Then we really kind of learn a little bit more about her family dynamic. And I'm not sure, because at the beginning of the season, I really felt like we were getting to know Erin a lot more. And then it became too focused on all these dramas amongst the ladies. And I know the producers have a hard time trying to give us a little bit of both. Their personal along with what's going on with the ladies. I think I would have enjoyed this end of the season more, getting to see more of their personal stories at home kind of thing. Because I feel like that felt more authentic. I feel like Sai is her most authentic when she's with her family. The same with Erin. I would have loved to see, what's going on with Erin and her family, because we got to learn a little bit more about Erin in regards to her family dynamic. So she really felt like she was the mother of her younger siblings because she was very young when her parents got divorced, and her father really was the primary caretaker. And she said over the summer, her mom had some health issues and things like that as well. So she got really emotional talking about that because we learned at the top of the season that Erin is very close with her family. And I honestly would have appreciated to see more of Erin and her family. I feel like we only got a little bit of that. And then we, of course, got some scenes with her husband, over the season. But I would have appreciated to see more of her interactions with her family because she says she's very close with them. She's always texting with her family. And then that made me think, if she is like the mom role of her siblings, or if they look up to her in that way, it kind of made more sense why her sister got so protective of her at the anniversary party. You know what I mean? Just something to think about. We're always dissecting things and then recalling back. All right. So she talks about that. And then she talks about the anniversary party. So she says that the anniversary party was supposed to be a cocktail party. And she's like, well, what time? Andy's like, so what time was the cocktail party? Around 7-ish, dinner time, y'all. But we've said this. And she insinuated that it was some sort of cocktail party. And I was like, Erin, that's all well and good, but no, you needed more food. You needed more food. She says, I host people all the time. I can't tell. When we were in the Hamptons, it was the same thing. And people are spending the night. And it was a struggle to get the food done. All right. So Erin and Sai then get into the whole Cheesegate situation. I don't care. Because it sounds like, based off what Sai says, that I was the one who didn't have the issue with the cheese. I love the cheese. However, Sai, you're making it seem, based off what we've seen of your behavior when it comes to food and when you were in the Hamptons at Erin's place, I'm leaning on the belief that maybe you said or did something that was similar because of behavior that we've seen on the show. So I don't know if I completely believe that you didn't say something snarky or rude about whatever it was. Maybe it wasn't the cheese. Maybe it was something else. Maybe you were like, there should have been more food. Well, I do agree. Maybe there should have been more food. Jessel does chime in. She's like, all I remember from that party is that we had a really good time. All right. Anyways, but Sai says she didn't like the insinuation that she came to Erin's house and she made this, big deal about there not being food and there's just being cheese and things like that. Literally, we have the Hamptons scene where you do that, Sai. And that's not the only time during the season that we had that. Literally, Andy says, let's address the elephant in the room. Sai, have you eaten? And she literally did bring food with her for the reunion. Look, Sai, when it comes to that, I can't even blame Sai because I'm like, how I am with my food. I'm not rude like that, though. I make sure I eat. Look, I make sure I eat and talk about you behind your back. All right. So Ubah then chimes in. She says that Jessel, Erin, and Sai didn't want Jenna on the show. This was a lot of Ubah's behavior in the beginning. And Ubah, I'm going to be very frank with you. You know, we've loved you during the season. However, it gave desperate. It gave like, oh, I did not get a lot of camera time this season, so I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in Ubah hot. She needs to put that on a t-shirt. And if she does, I need the credit. Okay? She's coming in Ubah hot. All right? But it was so like, however, Andy Cohen, I know you're not going to see this because you have me blocked. It's okay. I don't care. But it's funny. All right. So, Andy, this is where you're supposed to follow up because Ubah alludes that I think she was alluding that Jessel, Erin, and Sai did not want Jenna on the show. I could see this because they probably felt like they were going to be overshadowed by the legend that is Jenna Lyons. But they never followed up on that. I don't know if they're going to follow up in part 2, but they didn't follow up in part 1. My things, I would be like, wait a minute. Stop everything. What do you mean? Who said what? Who, what, when? However, we have to remember we're watching an edited show. They could have followed up and they just did not include it. Why not? What's wrong with you editors? Include it. I want to know. I'm not surprised though. But Ubah was coming at, I was just like, Ubah came in Ubah hot. Speaking of Jenna, so Jenna's package for me was like that. It was sort of like the heart and the emotional portion of part 1 of the reunion. So Jenna talks about how fashion sort of really kind of took her out of her shell of feeling like an ugly duckling. And she also revealed that her mom had passed away like 4-6 weeks before they started filming. And I know some people might be like, well, she wasn't really close to her mom. Her mom wasn't really emotional. Well, Jenna says that, you know, in the later years, she did have some tender moments, but it doesn't matter. I think even if you've had a rough relationship with your mom, even if you're not close with your mom, it's still your mom. It's still the person that gave birth to you. I think there is, even if your mom is probably the meanest person. Look, we've seen this before. Look at Sai. Sai probably could relate to this as well. Even if your mom had issues, there's just something about that mother connection that you just can't break. You just can't break it. And I think for a very long time, Jenna probably wanted to always please her. And even though her mom never, even when you find out that your mom has Asperger's, you don't necessarily even rationalize in your head. You still want her to be the mom that you saw on television. You still want her to be the mom that she saw in Jessel's mom. And she says because of the way that she grew up with her mom and not getting her mom's approval or affection, she was concerned that she would be that way with her son, Beckett. And she says sometimes she hears Beckett talking to his other friends and saying, you know, I love my mom. I have such a cool mom. And it makes her feel really good. I can imagine because she, even if she didn't grow up the way that she grew up, moms have this struggle from what I hear. Look, from what I hear, because I'm not a mom. But I pay attention. I read. I listen to you guys. I read the comments. Will you moms share your experiences? Please feel free to share your experiences as moms. Is that even when you think that you're doing all that you can, you still feel like you're not doing enough. You still feel it's like, damn, I hope I'm doing the right thing. I hope I didn't make a mistake. You still have these issues of and insecurities of the way that you parent. God bless you. Because there's no way that you can be perfect being a parent because you're a human being and your kids will be just fine. As long as you're trying, I think your kids will be just fine. All right. So she talks about that in her relationship with her mom. So that leads to Brynn talking about her relationship. That talks about Sai. Sai starts talking about her relationship with her mom and how she never really dealt with the trauma of the mom that she had. Brynn really got emotional seeing Jenna talk about her mom because all of these women, I think that's one of the things that connects a lot of them. I feel like the good majority of them, it maybe not so much Jessel, but even Jessel has some mom stuff this season as well because she didn't tell her mom about the IVF. So they all had a little bit of mommy something this season. Even Erin. Erin is close with her mom, but she didn't grow up with her mom like that. She really grew up with her dad. And then, of course, Ubah had her situation with her mom, you know, and then she lost her mom. And she got really emotional during her package of talking about how, a lot of people reached out to her and said that I reached out to my mom after seeing you talk about losing your mom and regretting not, saying certain things and doing certain things before she passed. So that I felt like the Jenna Lyons package really united the group. It was such a really like heartwarming moment and a lot of tears. All right. And then Brynn does say this, which I thought was funny. She says that, these ladies might be bitches and whores. Okay. But they're all great moms. But I agree. I mean, I don't know them. Based on what we see on the show, even Sai. I know Sai has been getting a lot of hate on social media. However, I will say this, and I've said this countless times. Sai, Erin, I've enjoyed them on the show. I didn't enjoy their constant mean girl behavior towards Jessel. I did not enjoy that. However, I do feel like, especially Sai, she shared so much this season. Some of y'all want to be like, oh, Sai was boring. No. Sai shared probably the most, if not a little bit more. Like her and Jenna shared the most this season about their lives and how they grew up. I'm so glad that Sai did this show. And I know some of you can't see past your anger. It's a show. You don't know these people. I didn't put that on a shirt. It's a show. You don't know these people. Somewhere in the back. Like this one says, cite your sources in the back. But I'm so glad that she shared her story because she did come from nothing to create a lot for herself. And she talked a little bit about that during this reunion on how she feels like, yeah, she's because of what she went through with her family and her mom, she's different when it comes to adult women, and she's not really, soft, and, that's not her love language on, how she deals with other women. But when it comes to the kind of parent she is, she feels like she is very emotionally available. And I think for Sai, it's sort of compartmentalizing those things. She deals with things because of the way that she grew up and the trauma that she did with adults. But when it comes to her children, she's treating her children the way that she wanted to be treated when she was a child. I can see how she's probably compartmentalized all of that. I can see how she might have done that in her head. But I think she could kind of figure out like, oh, well, maybe I can do the same for other people, the same way that I do for my children. All right. Oh, since I have the coldest water bottle in my hand, guys, don't forget, you can get a discount of 10% off with Kempire 10 at coldest.com, where they have water bottles, they have ice packs, they have sheets, they have things for your dogs, all of that. Head on over to the description of this video for more details on how you can get 10% off with the discount code Kempire 10 for 10% off. As I said before, I'm being repetitive. It's all right. All right, guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. Don't forget to subscribe. And just a reminder, because this is a thing on YouTube, sometimes you guys, you're subscribed, but then some sort of glitch on YouTube has unsubscribed you. So just double check that you're subscribed. If your notifications aren't working, try turning the notifications on, then turning it back on. Make sure you're following me on places like X, Twitter, because I'm also posting and letting you guys know we're going live, and if there's other stories and things. And there's also, I randomly tweet about different things that I'm watching, talking about random thoughts, my deep dive into Scientology over the weekend. I was on this whole thing. So I went on this whole little deep dive. I was like, damn. And that's not the first time I've ever done a deep dive on that situation. He knows I'm not going to say it again. That's not the first time that I've done one, but then, there are former people that were part of the religion. They've started creating content on social media and on you. So I'm like, oh, where's Shelly Miscavige? Like, really? Like, where is she? I did a whole deep dive, y'all. Anyways, let me focus. And you'd be surprised who's in the religion. Like, Will and Jada have been associated, but they've never come out to say that they were in it. That's a whole other conversation. We'll talk more about it on Tuesday Takeover tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. PST. I did a whole deep dive. All right. Let's move on. So Ubah breaks down talking about her mother in regards to, that scene that she shared. because Brynn was talking about how, she received thousands of messages for sharing her story. And it was like, well, I haven't received thousands of messages. But she gets really emotional talking about her mom. All right. And how she did receive messages from other people that they reached out to their mom because of that scene. All right. And as I mentioned before, Sai says she hasn't dealt with the trauma of her mom, and she deals with women grown women very differently. And one of the things that a lot of people can agree, Sai says that Jenna doesn't celebrate her wins enough. And we talked a little bit about that last week. And that's when Ubah chimes in. She's like, that's what I was trying to say about Jenna. No. Because Ubah said about Jenna at the top of the reunion, Jenna is not who she thinks Jenna is not who she portrays on the show. I forgot to address this because this is important for me to mention. So Ubah says that she feels as if Jenna is, she pretends to be like, oh, this old lady who's insecure and all of that. But she's really a powerhouse. And I loved Jenna's response. She was like, these two things can't exist. And we literally said this ourselves because we were just talking about this before, that people want to make it seem as if Jenna Lyons is faking it for camera. I have to say, she is probably the most authentic on the show. If she is lying to us, then she deserves an Oscar. Go get her. Go get my Oscar. Give her this Oscar. Because I really do believe that both can exist. I think we are all different in the workspace. Probably some of us, especially bosses that are managers, or you're different in your workspace, but maybe you're that way because that's your expertise. She knows her fashion. She knows branding. She knows those different types of things. So I believe that, but I love Jenna's answer. She's like, those two things can exist. I don't know why Ubah. I think Ubah probably watched these episodes, probably saw what Jenna said about her and was just like, oh, you're different. You're different when the cameras aren't rolling. Okay. Look. Jenna is dating someone new, someone that she met towards the end of the season. She seems really enamored with this person. She's known this person for a very long time because they've been in the same industry, but they recently started dating. Beckett loves her as well. I'm happy for Jenna. She deserves love. She does. The ladies didn't realize how much Jenna was insecure about her body with the whole going to Anguilla trip and going ahead. And Jenna did say that she ended up calling Erin because she didn't like what Erin did on, when she didn't see, those things that Jenna did not see. And when she saw it, she was like, that was pretty messed up what you did. And Erin did apologize to her for it. But the lady said that they didn't realize how insecure Jenna was until they watched the show. And could they have been better? They all were starting to apologize because they already knew. And look, I can appreciate the apologies because, look, we have to keep in mind when you're in it, your perception versus what we're seeing versus what you're experiencing are two different things. We have to give these women grace because I think people are just ready to pounce on them just because you're seeing it one way versus, remember, life is perception. We all view things. We could watch. I literally just said this in the comment section about one of the recaps and someone says, Kempire, I love you, but you're wrong. And I was like, no, no. I'm not wrong. Sidebar. I was on What Else Is Going On podcast with Taria. So be sure to check that out. I did a special episode with her and I talked about this as well on the podcast. So be sure to check out What Else Is Going On podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. That interview we did, oh my gosh, it was like over like an hour and a half. So if you missed it, go check it out. All right. And a new episode of my podcast also came out where I talk about the Lauryn Hill experience, but I also talk about some Bravo related stuff, news that came out that I haven't talked about anywhere else. So be sure to subscribe to the Kempire Radio podcast. All right. But what I said in the comments section to this person when they said, no, you're wrong, Kempire. And I was like, no. We watched the same thing, but we had a different view and perception of what we watched. And that's okay. That's okay. I think we get so caught up like, I am right. No. And I'm a Taurus. And we love to be right. Come on. I mean, usually we are, but, for argument's sake here. No, I feel as if it's like, yeah, it's perception. So we have to remember these ladies are filming it. These ladies are in it. And a lot of times they're arguing over things that we don't even realize that they're arguing over. We get to see everyone's view, everyone's comment in these confessionals. They end up seeing it after it was done. All right. So just, we have to give them a little grace. All right. All right. Sidebar. I made sure I wrote this down. So, Brynn says, because, everyone was saying, oh, I apologize, Jenna, for the things that we said during that moment. Because even Sai was like, I apologize for our reaction to you flying coach. And Ubah was like, well, I didn't say anything. Brynn, did you guys hear this? Brynn was like, you said Jenna could suck my... Oh, no, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that in. Ubah, come on now. I'm trying to play innocent. Brynn was ready to keep you accountable. She was like, Ubah said, Jenna could suck my you-know-what about the whole coach comment. So let's talk about Jenna giving the gifts. Okay, so we've talked about this during the season. I know we're rehashing a lot, but it's the reunion. So Jenna's confronted by Sai. She's like, I didn't like it. Maybe it's because my line of work. I felt uncomfortable. I'm not used to someone always giving me gifts like this. And look, in all fairness, if it was a lot, I can get it. Some people's love languages are different. I probably am very much like Jenna. And especially if I have what Jenna has, I probably would be giving stuff as well. And Jenna was like, let me clear something up. These aren't sponsored gifts. These things that I'm giving you, you can't get now. It's not on the market. These were old collabs. I have tons of stuff in the closet that are just sitting there. So I gift it. I love a regift, especially if it's something that I can use. I mean, none of what Jenna was given I could use, but those ladies could use it. But Sai says, I was just uncomfortable. And look, Sai has a right to feel uncomfortable. But I'm glad that Jenna was just like, well, this is my love language. I love giving gifts. They're not sponsored, though. They're not sponsored. Ubah was like, my love language is I like to receive gifts. Me too. Honestly, no. My love language is giving gifts. Now, I wouldn't even say my love language. I like giving gifts. I don't want to say that's my love language because I don't know if that's my love language. But I like giving gifts. I do like giving gifts. Holidays right around the corner. I love to give a gift. Receiving gifts, I don't mind receiving gifts. Don't get me wrong, but I hate to receive gifts that don't have a lot of thought. You know what I mean? Especially if it's just a gift to give. Like if Jenna was to give me like eyelashes. What am I supposed to do with this, Jenna? Put them on. You know what? But look, but Jenna's not giving me eyelashes, okay? I'm sure if we were friends, she would give me something else. I don't know what, but you know what I'm saying. I like thoughtful gifts, okay? So Sizer says she's not used to it. All right, moving on. Brynn talks about the double standard that, because she talked about this during the season, and we said, Brynn, you are reaching here. But she said she feels like there is a double standard for the way that the women treat Jenna. All right. Brynn feels like Erin at some point during the season was just constantly kissing Jenna's you-know-what. Maybe they did. They also talk about how Jessel's reaction to Jenna's real name being Judith. And she was like, I love the name Judith. My favorite author is Judith Blume. And Andy's like, Judy Blume? Well, I think her real name is Judith Blume. Do you know that for sure? So I had to go look it up. Yes, her real name, Judy Blume's real name is Judith. Okay? All right. We'll settle that. But Jenna also says that I legally changed my name to Jenna. I don't blame you, Jenna. As you should. Why not? All right. Ubah's package. Okay, so Ubah opens up about the guy she's dating. She's still dating this guy. Apparently, the entire group. First of all, the entire group has met Jenna's boo, and the entire group has met Mr. Connecticut. And I know some people are very critical of these housewives never really hanging out or really knowing each other, or they haven't hung out with each other in months. But I feel like this group, they really have tried to make an effort to hang out and do things, especially if you're meeting people that these people are dating and you're not filming. All right. So Ubah says she's still dating Mr. Connecticut. The group really likes Mr. Connecticut. From what we hear, he's tall, very handsome, and apparently very private because of his work. So probably we won't see him necessarily on the show. I don't know, Ubah. I already said during the season, and the way that they edited your season felt very like friend of vibes. I hate to say it, and I feel like the way that you were reacting coming in Ubah hot, I feel as if the way that you were acting, it felt desperate. It felt desperate. So she talks about him, and one of the questions that were asked was talking about being a model and being an older model, and how is it navigating as she gets older being a model. And she says, well, this is the best time to be a model. And I never thought about it because I grew up in the age of the supermodel, and it was a very different time. And it was all about youth and being a certain size. And she says this time, inclusivity in the modeling world is such a big thing. And I have to say it is. It's definitely different than what it was. I'm sure there's still a sector of, where it isn't. But look, Naomi Campbell, but it's also Naomi Campbell. Have you seen her? But look at Ubah. I can see her very much like Naomi Campbell modeling for the rest of their lives. As long as they want to. Naomi Campbell is still walking runway shows. She's probably one of the only models her age still walking these high-end runway shows. I can see Ubah doing the same thing as well. So she says this is like the best time for models and to be a model. All right. So in regards to her Ubah hot business, apparently Jenna had given Ubah. Jenna's very generous. She's not a gatekeeper. She's very generous with her expertise. Because if I could get Jenna effing Lyons to give me business or branding advice for free, do you realize how much you would have to pay someone of her stature to give you branding advice? I'm just saying. And we just saw it a couple of weeks ago when she was, or it was just last week, I can't remember now, where Jessel was using her home for a photo shoot and she was giving her advice and helping her. Like, if you wanted to really get Jenna effing Lyons to help you in that way, it would cost you a lot of money. But she doesn't seem like she's not willing to help these ladies. All right. All right. What else? So Sai and what's been going on with Sai? Oh wait, Sai. Rewind. Ubah smacks. See, here's the thing. They made it very light, but I don't know about you guys. When Ubah talked about how she slapped all her boyfriends, she hasn't slapped Mr. Connecticut. I was like, I'm kind of glad that Brynn and Andy sort of made it very like humorous in their moment, because in reality, I always take it back to if a man had said this about a woman, you all would have been like, what do you mean slap? And a lot of you, and I agree, I would not make that light of a situation where you have been physically violent with your past relationships. Just saying. To me, I was just like, I'm like that lady in the Wendy Williams audience. You know that meme. And I'm like, that's a little uncomfortable. A little uncomfortable with that. She's done it in public. Okay. And Andy was like, I don't like to be slapped. He was like, I don't like to be slapped. Me either. Look, I was about to share a Kempire After Dark moment. I'm not going to talk about it here. But let me just tell you. I'm sure, look, this is like my Sex and the City moment. Have you ever had someone do that to you randomly during an intimate moment? And then you're like, oh, hell no. I'm not the one. Don't do that. Just saying. I'm just saying. All right. I remember that. So, what are you doing? All right. Guys, if you're just joining us, this is our weekly recap of the Real Housewives of New York City Season 14 reunion. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to check out a new episode of our podcast, Kempire Radio. Be sure to subscribe. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. You guys have been rating. I've been seeing. Let's get to 500 reviews on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Shout out to all of you that have been giving us a 5-star rating. We're almost at like a 4.9. Some haters are out there, but it's okay. Keep hating. But don't rate. Don't go rate. We only want the people that love us. And some of you have been letting me know that, oh yeah, you're showing up on my stuff, on my podcast stuff. So keep rating and reviewing, guys. It is helping. It is helping us build our podcast, Kempire Radio. All right. Jessel. Oh, wait. No, let me rewind back. Sai has not spoken to Brynn in like 6 months. So they had their issue at that party where they were talking about the circle of trust. And Brynn was like, there was no circle of trust. You guys made it seem like we did some sort of blood oath, and it wasn't anything like that. But both Erin and Sai, like, we both said that we're not going to repeat this whole Ubah situation. So I don't know who to believe in this particular situation. I don't know if there was any word of like, don't say anything, but Sai does take accountability. She's like, I should have never said it. I think my reaction was more that I was upset that I even, broke that trust to, Ubah. Apology tour, Sai. She was on an apology tour in this part 1 of the reunion. But apparently, Brynn's just like, they were making it all good. I felt like we could have ended Brynn and Sai and them having their issues, but they hadn't talked in like 6 months. So, and Brynn is like, you are literally still talking about this stuff on, to anyone that will listen. And you're talking about calling me a slut, and you don't know about my job, and I helped you out, and I signed off on something. And she's like, yeah, in 2017, I still don't know what you do for work. Sidebar, I think a lot of the audience might be a little confused as to what you do. I know we know a title, like in marketing or something that you do, but we really don't know what you do for work. We got to see some of your personal story, but we barely saw your home, and we understand why. And we really didn't see you work. Look, just saying, we really didn't see you work. I feel like we saw everyone else work but you. Even Jessel. And Jessel literally left working, for Marc Jacobs, and now she's starting her own thing. We literally seen her work. We haven't really seen you work, Brynn. Or Tommy, should I call you Tommy? But there is still, which is sad to me, because remember our very first scene for the Real Housewives of New York reboot was with Sai and Brynn in her home, and Brynn talking about how close she is to Sai. So it's so sad to see where they were versus where they are now. And even in the last episode, Sai was talking about how much she cares for Brynn, and she even threw that whole Brynnsgiving, and because of the way that Brynn was feeling. So that's sad to me. I hope they can get to a better place. But 6 months, and here's the thing. I think this also has to do with the show, because when you have issues on the show, I think it's hard to make amends because you already know what's going to play out on the show, and then you're probably going to get back to that ugly place again. So maybe that's part of the reason why you're like, I'm not going to reach out, because I feel like once this starts playing out on social media and all this stuff, we're going to fight again. So in order to avoid fighting again, I'm just going to avoid you altogether. I kind of think that's what it is. I'm learning a lot about the Housewives, like the science of Housewives and the psychology of Housewives. It's interesting. I think that might be why Sai probably avoided reconnecting with Brynn during this period of time. Maybe. Or maybe she didn't want to. Jessel. So they end this reunion with Jessel's package because Jessel has a bone to pick. She has a bone to pick with Erin. She has a bone to pick with Sai. She, at one point during the reunion, says to Erin, because she accuses Erin of talking about her marriage, talking about alluding to the fact that Pavitt might be cheating on her. And she's like, do you even watch the show? Do you watch it with a blindfold? You talked about my marriage. And Erin's just like, I never said that. I never said that. And then they play the clip. I never said that. So she says her sex life is much better. I'm happy for her. No one was completely shocked that maybe her marriage might have had a little trouble in the sex department because of the IVF journey that she went through, because them having twins and transitioning to being no kids to having kids. But she says it's much better. I thought this was interesting. I do feel like Andy has a favorite in Jessel, but you also know we talked about Andy allegedly using Jessel during that moment on Watch What Happens Live to shade Bethany. So I feel like Bravo is trying to treat her very much like what Nene said when Nene was all good with Andy and she was like the new housewife on the block, and he would bring her to certain things to sort of like, this is my new, shining star. And a lot of you have made her the new shining star. So I'm sure they're treating her a little bit like that. But he brings up the whole not box of wine, but the wine issue that was brought up at Jessel's party, and everyone was like, yeah, the wine wasn't good. She's like, it was sponsored. Oh, so you have sponsored this is Erin. So you have sponsored things too? She's like, yes, but I did not put it on the invitation. That was a good clapback, Jessel. That was a good clapback. Come on. And then Andy chimes in. He's like, in all fairness, Erin, hers was a business event. Yours was an anniversary. Okay, not Andy Cohen being, the connoisseur of appropriate etiquette. Erin says she does regret having the sponsor. She said these were small businesses. They wanted, to sponsor these things, and she regrets putting it on the invitation. And Sai was just like, why are you regretting it? It was sponsored. This is coming from Sai, who does sponsored posts. I mean, I don't see a problem with it. If someone wants to pay you or give you free product for something that's being filmed, I don't see the problem with it at all. She just didn't like the fact that she didn't like the fact that they were commenting on it. So it kind of made her look cheap. I can see that. I can see why. And look, can we talk? Because we talk about this with Black people. Let's talk about with our Jewish brothers and sisters. Because, there's that stereotype that Jewish people are cheap. So she probably was like, I don't like the fact that you guys are, she probably was a little triggered. We were talking about this during Real Housewives of Beverly Hills when Garcelle confronted Kyle on the whole charity donation and saying that she didn't pay, and she gave us the whole in the Black culture when it comes to tipping and things like that, we are triggered by certain things like that. I didn't think about it until now. I'm having these aha moments as we talk about this. So maybe she was a little like, I don't want people feeling like I'm in that stereotype. I can understand it. Erin, I don't mind it. I just want you to have more food at your events. That's it. Just have more food. All right. It wasn't a cocktail party. It was dinner time that you're having people there. And we're having these long speeches. Anyways, back to Jessel and what's going on with Jessel. So Andy defends her in that particular moment. The boys are going to school at a $35,000. Is it $35,000 for each child? I think so. So it's like $60-something thousand. I mean, if they have it, why not? I'm not going to judge people if they have it, but if you're trying to, if you're putting yourself in the poorhouse for this, I mean, your money. Look, your money, your life. All right, and I know you want your children to have the best, and if you can afford it, go ahead. I'm never going to judge it. So, one of the big things, and we've talked about this before, and some of you have called in and said this, that Jessel moved to New York just for the show. So I was actually surprised that Andy Cohen brought it up, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's talk about it. She denies it. She denies it. However, she did live in New York, remember, years ago, but then she moved to California, and then Pavitt had some work stuff in Dallas. So they do have a home in Dallas. So you remember the rumor was that she was testing for Dallas. I believe that rumor was true, that she was testing for Dallas. And then that Dallas situation fell apart. And of course, casting probably remembered her. And she moved to New York about a year and a half ago. And everyone was like, ding, 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 a year and a half ago. So when we started filming, I don't see a problem with Jessel moving to New York City for filming. What I appreciate, because remember, Kenya moved allegedly to Atlanta for filming. I don't mind it, especially because Jessel, it's not like Jessel did not live in New York at some point. She lived in New York for like a decade. I'm okay with that. I actually appreciate that more than maybe someone just flying in from another city and you're not even from that city. You know what I mean? And you've never lived in that city. She at least lived here. You know what they say here in New York? If you lived here more than 10 years, then you are a New Yorker. That's what they say. I don't know if I believe that, but because they brought up the whole, Jessel, talking about Tribeca as being up and coming. And at one point, in the Jessel, you just showing your slip here. when she was talking. It was like the most liked tweet ever. She's very on social media, like very aware of people's reactions to the stuff on social media. Guys, if you're just joining us, we are talking about the Real Housewives of New York reunion for season 14. How would you guys rate it from 1 to 10, part 1? I'm glad that it's only going to be 2 parts. I think seeing everyone together, I think they look great. I think this is a beautiful cast. I mean, their reunion looks are not my favorite. I will say this about Jessel. So Jessel was celebrating Diwali, and she had this beautiful black sari on. Her and Pavitt looked great. I kind of wish she would have wore something like that for the reunion. I'm looking at this. I'm like, this would have been like, to me, she would have been best dressed if she wore what she wore on Instagram over the weekend. She would have been best. I think she looks great here, and to me, this also is very inspired by her culture as well. But I feel like her dress, her black sari that she was wearing, gorgeous. Oh, I loved it, and her hair and makeup. Anyways, maybe for the next reunion we can do something, because we love an Indian something. We love it. It's beautiful. And even though it's black, because the saris are full of color, but the black one was nice. It was beautiful. Anyways, I digress. What else? Oh, so Sai goes on her apology tour because, of course, people confront her about the things that she was saying about Pavitt and Jessel's relationship. And of course, Jessel found it disgusting how Erin and Sai were talking about her relationship and alluded to Pavitt possibly cheating. And so Sai was like, I should not be talking about anyone's marriage. It sounds like she was rehearsing this. I should not be talking about anyone's marriage, but I just didn't feel like you guys had a connection. You're still talking about someone's marriage. So part 1 ends with a lot of back and forth between Jessel and Erin and Sai. And Sai is just ready to be like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said. I won't ever do it again. Bad me. Bad you, Sai. No, I'm sorry. I'll hit myself. It was a solid part 1 reunion. If I had to rate this reunion, I'm going to give it an 8.5. I thought it was good. Ubah coming in Ubah hot really was not on my bingo card for part 1 of the reunion. At least it wasn't as teary as I thought it was going to be, but we shall see how part 2 goes. From what I hear, they did feel like they made amends by the end of the reunion. I don't know if they all went out with each other at the end. Maybe they went to catch. I don't know. We shall see. But based off what we've seen so far in part 1 of this reunion, how are you guys feeling about the reboot? RHONY Legacy is coming. I can't wait to see that, because I love Ultimate Girls Trip in general. I did talk about the recent lawsuit from the butler from season 2. I did talk about that on the podcast. So be sure to check out Kempire Radio on your favorite podcast platform. I would give this reunion an 8.5. I thought this was a solid. If I had to rate the season as a whole, maybe I'm going to wait till next week. Because I want to see part 2 of the reunion and see how they end the reunion. But I felt like the season was solid. Okay, I'll tell you now, just in case I forget next week. Based on what we've seen so far about this RHONY reboot, I would give it a 6.5. I was going to give it a 7. But I was like, if that Anguilla trip was great, I probably would have given it probably an 8 this season. But the Anguilla trip kind of was like, but here we are. It's okay. We're figuring out our way. What do you think needs to happen to make next season better? And I'm not talking about firing anyone. I'm talking about, what do you think needs to happen for next season? We shall see. I do think that everyone will be back. You could tell that they were fighting for their lives in this reunion. It was not lost on me when Brynn was just like, when she was having a little bit of a back and forth with Sai, she's like, I can't hear you from down there. And she's like, you can hear me. Read my lips. Brynn, again, these new housewives are built different, because, in yesteryear, they weren't paying attention to the seating of the group, because now Brynn's comment was sort of alluding that Sai is at the end because she's probably not going to come back, or she was least important. it doesn't always mean that. We've seen that with Candy's been on the end for forever. Highest paid housewife. Does she have the most issues, the most powerful on the cast? None of them are the most powerful on the cast. The only one that has real power on that cast is Jenna effing Lyons. So Brynn, sit down. I love you all. Shout out to our channel members, guys who become a member of the channel. Head on over to TheKempire.com. Shout out to our King's Guards. They hold us down in the live chat. Shout out to everyone watching on Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Shout out to our replay crew. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to let us know how you would rate this week's episode of the Real Housewives of New York City reunion. And don't forget to let us know your favorite parts or critiques or comments on what played out during the reunion or something that we may have not spoken about. Let's continue the conversation there. Let's get into some music, and then I will see you guys in the next video. Right? Right. All right.
Walking like a G, sipping Hennessy, president suite, looking like a young Barack Obama. Skipping to the beat, giving hella heat. I'ma need a seat just to count up all these dots and commas. I think it's evident I'm the better man, I'm the jam. I'ma have you crushing like a four-wheel monster. Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Baby, baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor, I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow me, lead it, just watch the shoes. Gotta turn the heat up to get this cool. Shoulders, all this jewelry on me. I wear my shades inside cause I go blind just looking down. Looking like the man sipping Chardonnay on the balcony, looking like a young Elvis Presley. I've been overseas, I've been underneath, I ain't never seen nothing like a person 12 o'clock. I don't know nobody looking like that, I don't know nobody looking like that. I don't know nobody looking like that, I don't know nobody looking like that. Baby, baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor, I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet.